Hello, friends. Dr. Devin here, back for season 2 of If They Knew. I'll take a second before we begin to reintroduce myself because I don't know about you, but I feel like I have been through the gauntlet of transformation these last few years. And by the time of reflection, looking back into where we left off in season 1 of If They Knew, I'm a whole different person now. And that's the point, right? We are always becoming. And my journey in chiropractic, in the Big Idea, in motherhood, in my own healing and growth has led me to this point where our mission, our heartbeat is to light up the world in raw and real conversations. I am the things that I just listed off. If someone said, "Who are you? Who are you?" What an interesting question, right? I am a chiropractor in Wichita, Kansas. I am a mother of 5 amazing children, twin 6-year-olds, Magnolia and Phoenix, twin 11-year-olds, Jagger and Knox. Yes, 2 sets of twins. You can't even make that up. God has a delightful sense of humor. And then our oldest will be turning 18 here very shortly, Mr. Roman. And in each of those births and journeys, I grow and am humbled in lessons of what it means to be a mother, especially in these last few years where all the things we thought we knew have changed. School, social, government, the compression, the pressure cooker of parenting got tighter. The screws cranked down, and I got to see that in my role as a mother, but also as a pediatric and family chiropractor, of seeing that, us as adults, of course, we were like taking all of these hits and fielding it the best as we could for our home. But I don't know that we've had, at least not as much as I would like, the conversations around how the last few years have impacted our kids, which has really motivated me and my husband to make the decision. While we could put kids back into public school, we've made the decision, not an easy one, to bring our 4 little ones home into unschooling and homeschooling. So I add to my hats that I wear: mother, chiropractor, homeschooling mom. Talk about humility, my goodness. So we'll be talking about that on this podcast. I am a speaker, so I love to use the microphone and the power of this voice that God moves through me, messages of hope and healing and love and transformation and inspiration. And I hope that I can be a conduit and a co-creator of stories and experiences that get shared in spaces like this podcast or in-person events or the Big Idea Network, with the intention that we are far more alike than we could ever be different. And, it's that which we can have in common, our common ground, our similarities, that we really feel connection, human connection. And hopefully also in these conversations, we push some buttons. I don't feel like I'm doing my job here on a podcast if you just agree with everything that I'm saying, or if I bring in guests who I totally agree with. I'm actually after a little bit different approach. I'm looking for the things that make me uncomfortable. I want to create some conversations that stimulate opportunities for growth, because that's what differences do. They could divide us. They could create separation, or we could lean in and go, that's fascinating. What in your life experience, what in your story, what in your wounds and traumas and victories and valleys led you to believe what it is you believe? And can you talk about what you believe and I talk about what I believe, and then maybe the space between those 2 stories and past experiences and intentions for future, maybe somewhere in the space between a conversation, my perspective, your perspective, and any guests that I bring to the microphone here too, somewhere in that sacred space, like in a Venn diagram, how they all connect, in that little sacred space, that's where truth is. That's where unconditional love lives. That's power and potential that I want to be able to look at my kids and grandkids one day and said, I gave it everything I had to, in a time of division and chaos, create order and connection and community and cohesion. Even if we didn't agree, especially if we didn't agree, we could still unite in a center space of respect and compassion. So a speaker, a teacher, a student, a listener, a visionary, a dreamer, a rebel. I spent a great deal of the last few years waging war and resisting some of the things that we've been going through. We're going to talk about masks and vaccines and COVID and statistics and science and experts and predictions, and we're going to reflect from a place, I hope, of neutrality of some sort, because the emotion can come up, but if we just reflect and just observe what we've been through and what it is we want from here, then I do my due diligence to really sit with it with you, and that's when I get to step into my other roles of facilitating healing and building a new road forward. Chiropractor, mother, wife, woman, teacher, student, speaker, listener, dreamer, rebel, facilitator, builder. I wear a lot of hats. You'll probably get to see a lot of them here on the podcast. There's layers, right, to all of us. I am not one thing. I don't seek to be one thing in this lifetime. I'm not built that way. And I think the gift is, because I know who I am, because I feel connected to the purpose of why God has brought me to this here and now, to the facilitator, to the builder role, to the visionary, I get to anchor in that it's possible, that miracles are possible from this way forward. But we got to do it inside first, and it'll go a whole lot smoother and stronger if we do it together. We named this podcast If They Knew, because I would go to different seminars and events, and I kept hearing that saying, if they knew what we knew, they would do what we do. And maybe that second part's not true. But what if we just lightened our grip a little bit and we just engaged in life to play like a child, right? If we just let loose, not let go, but if we let loose of the things we cling to, maybe we could create enough breathing room for growth. So if they knew is an invitation. If I knew, if you knew, if we knew. And so what I bring is my own stories, my own voice, different guests, different clients and patients from our practice that tell their stories of miracles and transformations, that talk about tips and tools and strategies and what has worked for them. And maybe in the unfolding of their, when I ask them, what's the one thing you wish they knew? You wish people knew, that you wish your kids knew, that their road towards healing and health and love and happiness would be easier. What's that one thing you wish people knew? And then we unpack it. So this podcast is not to tell you what to think. This podcast is to invite you to think and rethink. I'm not here only to teach, but to help unlearn that which no longer serves. I don't speak from the top of a mountain saying, I am here and I have arrived. Be cautious. Exercise discernment. If you find yourself at the foot of anyone speaking from that place, I know the way. Careful, cautious, discernment in spaces like that. Not to say the people who say those things don't have something to tell you, but it's an interesting time. It's a wild time It's a purposefully uncertain time. I believe God has brought us here face to face with our uncertainties so that we can make room for miracles. But that means we have to let go of some of the things we cling to. So you might come here thinking you know exactly the way exercise should work, or diet should work, or healthcare should work, or sleep. We're going to talk about all sorts of things. And I hope even if you just listen in with a little bit of curiosity to some of these conversations, you are invited to walk away with just one little light bulb moment. One little, man, I never thought about it that way. I never saw it that way. Maybe I'll try that. I know somebody who could use this message, and you pay it forward. We never know how far reaching the pay it forward act could be. So I'm Dr. Devin. I'm all of those things and all of those hats. This is the If They Knew podcast. Built, created, held from my heart to yours. And I'm not doing it. I'm going to be in it with you. These aren't curated conversations. I never know what's coming. We've pre-recorded a couple of episodes with the people who put this space together. So my chiropractors are first, Dr. Joey Vrana, Dr. Haley Banda, and then one of my beautiful soul sisters, Rachel Hauber. And when I interviewed them, and I know these people, these are my people, but there's always something I didn't know about them. So I'm in it with you. I'm not here to teach and push. I am here to listen and learn and unlearn with you. And as we kick things off in October of 2022, our anchor this month is ADIO. And that's my thing for this episode. Hey, Dr. Devin, what's the one thing that you wish people knew that for knowing it, it could become a lead domino in all the things they do? Because how we do one thing typically is how we do all things. How we see one thing is kind of how we see all things. So what's the one thing that I wish if people could just wake up tomorrow understanding this one thing, it would change the world. It could change their life. It could change their marriage, their job, their health. Well, my one thing is a concept that chiropractic school and my journey as a chiropractor has gifted me. And it is ADIO. Above, down, inside, out. It was something I saw early on, but I'm still learning about the bigness of what it truly stands for. So I can't say that I've arrived at full understanding, but I can tell you what I know of it now and how it impacts my life and how I think it could impact yours too. See, what I've witnessed over the last few years is a culture, is a world filled with people who think that happiness and health and germs and news and all of it happens from the outside in instead of inside out. And I think one of the reasons I've been able to navigate the way that I have and thrive in this time is because I had this compass, I had this true north when it all came down. And I've had it every step of the way when I remembered to exercise it. Above, get right with God is what that means to me. Now, you can say source or universe or whatever you want to plug there. Above means there's something bigger than me. And I got to remember that this whole thing called life didn't start with me and it's not going to end with me. It's perspective. It's the eagle view. It invites me to get up in the airplane and take a look at my life, to take a look at the world, to take a look at the future, the past, all of it from a bigger view. I got to get right with the bigness of what it means just to be alive. When I get in the big, when I go eagle view, problems start to feel smaller. It gives me breathing room to remember that I'm never alone. Never. I got angels in my connection above. I got God that I can go to whenever I need, which has been a lot over these last few years. I've spent a lot of time on walks and hikes and meditations and prayers, going inside, upstairs, get right with my connection to source and being able to go up first. I start up there and then come down, down, down inside of me. I am body, I am mind, I am soul. What does that mean? I got to get right with me. I got to get right down inside of every cell of who I am. I got to eat good. I got to be careful and cautious about what I put inside my body, mind, heart, and soul. I need to look at the chemical toxicities, emotional toxicities in my life. I got to take responsibility for the choices that I make that make up my health and happiness as a whole. I got to get right upstairs. I got to get right down inside me first. Second, I can't give what I don't have. So if I try to go to the I or the O, which we're going to talk about here in a second, if I try to go there, if I try to serve, if I try to be a mom or a wife, if I try to go do anything before I'm right up here and down in here, good luck. Depletion, burnout, sadness, suffering, chaos, overwhelm, stress, you name it. Why? People ask me all the time, how do you do it? You've got these businesses, you've got 5 kids, you're homeschooling. What in the world? It's because I invite the well from above to pour into me, through me. It is a process that I do every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Above, down, through to my inside, my I, which is my inner circle that I keep small purposefully. It's my husband, my soulmate, my best buddy. It is my children. What matters most to you? We're going to get to the O here in a second. That's where you're out there, change the world, live your purpose thing, serve, do all that lives. That's out there. What's inside your inner circle? Who's inside? It matters because proximity is either power, as Tony Robbins would say, or it is poison. And it's a choice. So I am very choosy about my masterminds and what teachers get to pour into me. What colleagues stay close to me. I give there first. I water my garden first. I have lived through some experiences, which we will talk about, of all the things I named off: burnout and stress and fatigue and exhaustion and frustration and anger and sadness and unfulfillment. And usually that was because I wasn't right upstairs. I wasn't taking care of me, and I was trying to serve the outside world before I was serving my inner world. And my inner world matters most. It is why I have chosen to scale back my hours in practice in order to be a part of my children's education at home. See, something happens when you watch someone you love die. And I got the gift of that a few years ago with my mother. I got to watch her take her last breath. And when I did, it changed me. Because I have a very real awareness of how short time is as my oldest son turns 18, I'm choosing to change the pace professionally so I can make space for my babies, my inner circle, the ones that need me now. I don't get that back. I can't undo the times I've lost chasing my boss babe dreams. So I've reorganized my goals and my schedule. But I don't want to wear one hat. I want to wear all of them. And that means that I need the skill sets and the organization to be all the things. And they'll tell me they have permission to. My inner circle helps hold me accountable of, hey, Dev, you're out of balance and harmony. Don't you love that question? How do you balance it all? Well, I don't. Ever. But I harmonize. And it's a garden. My inner world is a garden. My family, my friends, my soul sisters at the lighthouse and the Big Idea. My inner circle matters at the nucleus big time. What good is it to go out and build big if you don't have depth? I've done it. It ain't for me. So we do it differently. Above, get right with God. Down, get right down into my body, mind, and soul. Get right inside my inner circle. Build a strong foundation and nucleus. And then finally, on purpose, the O is a peace sign, because that, my friends, my if they knew, is that if we do those 3 steps first, above, down, inside, world peace. And at a minimum, inner peace. What else matters? I have learned a lot in my nearly 40 years. I don't have it all figured out. But I know that I love opportunities like this to seemingly talk to myself, because I know I can feel you through this camera listening. And I know you're tired too. And I know there's a lot that you still have inside of you that you want to share in this world. So if you feel what it is I'm putting down here, I look forward to season 2 of If They Knew, to dance with you. If you need permission to let go of things that no longer serve you, I can be that. If you need support as you step into what scares you, I can be that for you. If you need adjusted body, mind, and soul, I can be that for you too. If you need to remember who you are and what it means to expect miracles, I can be that too. I am so honored for this virtual real estate that we can teleport into. I don't take it lightly. Words are medicine. And so if you're listening, then you're feeling the effects of the resonance in my energy, and it's landing inside of you. And I am honored to, I hope, water and nurture the garden you're attempting to grow. If there's even one thing that I have said that makes life lighter or brighter, then it will have been worth it. That is the heart and soul, the who and how of the If They Knew podcast. Thank you for joining in this sacred space with me, and get ready. I'll see you next week.